People who might not know much about rabbits will hear that I have rabbits in my home, and they always wonder, how does that work? Because in their minds, the idea of rabbit ownership is a row of cages in someone's backyard where they spray down the cage occasionally, and the rabbits have no choice but to live there through hot seasons and temperatures that they're not allowed to dig underground to escape from. And sadly, that is a lot of people's idea of pet rabbit ownership. But what's it really like? What is life with rabbits really like? The answer to that question is going to vary greatly depending on where you live, how many rabbits you have, the breed, the age, whether they have special needs, how often you feed them, and many other factors. For me, life with rabbits is deeply woven into everyday life. In my career, it's about helping people in need. At home, it's about helping rabbits in need. A lot of my home is designed around the bunnies in my care. I actually live in a larger home than I personally need so that the rabbits can have dedicated indoor spaces. Sometimes I have 3 or 4 rabbits, and sometimes I have many more. The rabbits have large primary spaces, plus they get to free roam in other parts of the house that I have bunny-proofed. I have to carefully manage zones, and those areas are arranged based on personalities, bonded pairs, and age. Younger rabbits, even after being spayed and neutered, can still display territorial behaviors from time to time, and honestly, that's completely normal for rabbits. Harley is one of those exceptions. He has some cognitive issues that were discovered after he was rescued and brought to me. Harley still sprays if he believes another rabbit has entered his space. And sometimes he even sprays his own partner, Quinn. I don't know about you, but rabbit spraying inside the house is something I try very hard to avoid. Instead of forcing rabbits into situations that create stress and conflict, I structure the environment around what works best for them. Different bonded pairs have different primary spaces, and that setup creates a much calmer home for both the rabbits and for me. I'd prefer to have all the rabbits bonded together, at least the rabbits that have found their forever home with me, but that's not always the best decision for each individual rabbit. When you live with rabbits, you can quickly learn that rabbit proofing never truly ends. There's always a cord to protect, something that fell onto the floor, or there's a carpet corner some bunny suddenly finds fascinating. Sometimes a cardboard box that mysteriously becomes fascinating overnight needs remodeling, and that is extremely important. Outside, I have several separate yard areas, including a large fenced section that became what I call the outdoor bunny play area. The rabbits are always supervised outside. Always. If I have chores to do that take me out of that bunny play yard area, I have family members or friends who also have experience with rabbits, and they can stand by and supervise outdoor playtime while I'm busy elsewhere. Sometimes I sit quietly in the grass with them while they explore. Harley and Quinn are still very young, so they have endless energy and curiosity. Most of the time, they're busy checking every inch of the yard to see whether another rabbit has visited their territory since the day before. They'll hop over to visit me for a moment, ask for a quick forehead rub, and then immediately go back to their important bunny responsibilities. And I understand, there's a lot to investigate in the yard. One thing rabbits teach you very quickly is that they're incredibly observant. They notice changes in their environment immediately. A moved object, a strange smell, a bird overhead, a distant barking dog, or some other sound. They pay attention to everything. See that apple tree over there? I planted that tree about 8 years ago when it was just a tiny sapling. Surprisingly, I didn't plant it for the apples. I planted it for the leaves. Occasionally, I add a few of those untreated apple leaves to the rabbit's salads. Not a lot, because too many can upset the digestive system, but a few leaves every couple days are an important favorite treat for these rabbits. And because they eat from my yard and garden spaces, I never use pesticides or chemical sprays. That part is extremely important. I also grow containers of spring mix, red lettuces, parsley, arugula, kale, dandelion greens, and other rabbit-safe plants. I even grow carrots, mostly for the tops. The rabbits love carrot greens, but actual carrots are naturally high in sugar and should only be fed occasionally in a very small amount as a treat. Kale is another food I feed carefully in moderation because it's a cruciferous vegetable. Balance matters when it comes to rabbit diets. And of course, the rabbits also nibble on taller grass growing around the edges of the play area. I intentionally leave some areas looking a little wild because that space was designed for rabbits, not appearances. My front yard looks much different. It's perfectly manicured, but this is the bunny play yard. Letting a bit of grass grow taller around the edges of the fence also provides a natural distraction for rabbits during outdoor playtime. They're busy foraging rather than digging along the fence line. I even sprinkle dandelion seeds throughout parts of the yard so rabbits can forage naturally when they're playing outdoors. Watching rabbits forage is one of the most peaceful things imaginable. It's one of those quiet little moments that reminds us that rabbits are still connected to their natural instincts, even while living inside our homes. Gardening became a major part of my life because of rabbits. During spring and summer, and even early fall, most of the greens I feed are grown right here at home. Over the years, I've learned that once rabbits transition to safe homegrown greens, preparing fresh salads every day becomes much easier and more affordable. It's also healthier for them. Even though in the warmer months the rabbits get fresh grass outside, fresh timothy and orchard grass hay is always available. Always. So is fresh, clean water. I intentionally planted much of the garden close to the bunny play areas so I can easily supervise while harvesting greens or spending time outdoors with them. Because rabbits are so sensitive to heat, outdoor time is carefully managed. Once temperatures begin rising, the rabbits go back inside where the air conditioning keeps them comfortable during the warmest part of the day. By the time I get home from the office on weekdays, the temperature's cooling off and I can take the rabbits outside again for evening play. On the weekends, they get to play earlier in the mornings before the sun starts warming the environment. Rabbits have a thick fur coat that they can't take off. They feel the temperatures around 20 or 25 degrees hotter than us humans. It's important not to ever force them to endure extreme temperatures. Managing outdoor playtime schedules is necessary for their health and their comfort. Life with rabbits also means constant cleaning. Honestly, rabbits are some of the messiest little roommates imaginable. I clean, they redecorate. I sweep, and they scatter hay all over again. Water bowls used to get flipped over, but now I only use very thick, heavy water bowls that the rabbits can't move. Blankets get rearranged. Cardboard gets shredded into tiny pieces overnight. I think of rabbits as part of a bunny construction crew working the night shift while I sleep. And somehow, I still think it's adorable. Since rabbits are crepuscular, meaning they are naturally most active around dawn and dusk, their schedules actually fit fairly well with mine while I'm still working full-time. Retirement is a few years away for me, but I'm working hard to shorten that timeline. The more time I have at home, the more time I can devote to rabbits in need, and there are a lot more rabbits in need. Every morning before work and every evening after I get home, I prepare fresh salads for the rabbits. One helpful tip I always give rabbit owners is to split the daily greens into 2 meals instead of feeding everything at once. Not only does that better match natural grazing behavior, it also creates built-in wellness checks every single day. Healthy rabbits are usually very enthusiastic about meals. If a rabbit suddenly is not excited to eat, that's something I immediately pay attention to because rabbits hide illness and injuries extremely well. Living closely with rabbits means you start noticing very subtle changes, like a different posture, less excitement, reduced curiosity, changes in litter box habits, or simply a rabbit sitting quietly when they normally would have come running when you walked in the room. Those tiny details matter. Feeding this way is a natural, twice-a-day built-in well check for every single rabbit. Rabbit care also includes regular veterinary well checks, nail trims, brushing during heavy sheds, cleaning litter boxes, washing blankets, cleaning out water bowls, rotating toys, and making accommodations as the rabbits get older. Lolly the lionhead is almost 11 years old now. Because I knew her history when she arrived all those years ago, I had a fairly accurate idea of her age. Older rabbits often need their environments adjusted to make life easier and less stressful for them. Younger rabbits usually enjoy constant enrichment and rearranged spaces, but older rabbits sometimes rely heavily on memory and familiarity, especially if vision or hearing starts to decline. So with Lolly, I try to keep important things in consistent places: her litter box, her water bowl, her favorite resting area, and her hideouts. That stability helps her move comfortably and confidently throughout her space. One of the hardest parts of loving rabbits is knowing they will not outlive us. No matter how many years we get with them, it never feels like it's enough. When you devote so much of your life to caring for animals, eventually you experience loss alongside the joy. Saying goodbye is part of loving them, even though it's the part none of us ever wants to face. Despite the cleaning, the schedules, the expenses, the worry, and the heartbreak that sometimes comes along with caring deeply for these animals, life with rabbits is still one of the greatest joys I've ever known. Whether there are 4 rabbits in my care or 10, they bring a quiet kind of happiness into everyday life. They infuse joy into the home, and they bring immeasurable smiles to everyone who knows them. Rabbits become part of the rhythm of everyday life, and I wouldn't want it any other way.